Previously on Battlestar Galactica.
Well, I guess I won't let a little bit of rainy day apocalypse outside stop me from doing some projects, because there's always indoor project work that I can be doing. So I'm going to do a little bit of that. Hey there, YouTube, just picking up from last week, and we are going to be dealing with these nasty things today and putting some new lenses on them, as well as starting to delve into clearing out the crud on the lenses on a couple of other cars. So I've already dealt with this before in another video. There are lots of great videos out there on how to properly clean the yellowing haze off of plexiglass lenses. So, you know, I might link one or two in the comments below so you can see who I've found inspiration from and really good help as I deal with this, but I'm going to film it anyway, and so be entertained. Do you not find this entertaining? Here we go. A while ago, my brother-in-law was at a junkyard, and he came across this set of Mk4 projector lights, and they are this convenient, very yellow color. I've never seen headlights turn quite this yellow. I've seen them completely glaze over and you can't see through them, but this yellow, it's almost like French yellow. It's crazy how yellow this is. Anyway, he picked them up for 10 bucks, and frankly, the headlights that are on my daughter's Jetta and my son's Jetta, they're horrible. They're the factory lights. They do have the hazing and yellowing problem. They're not quite as bad. Now, I picked up a set of Mk4 lights from a friend who was parting out a car, and these are pretty decent. I mean, these are like the smoked Chinese replicas, and they're in pretty decent shape. They could use a little bit of polish, but they're all right. So I'm going to be swapping those onto the car. But I went ahead and picked up these covers to, well, obviously not swap onto this one because it's the wrong side, but see how clear this is. And these have a protective coating on them. I haven't peeled it off yet, so it's not going to have all this crazing and weirdness. But I am going to put this on this, and these are like not only yellow, but they're cracked too. I'm looking closer. There's cracks all over the place in here. So this is just toast. But, you know, the name of the game is being able to see at night. And while I realize these are a little ghetto fabulous, they're going on a teenager's car. And if they want to invest their own money at some point in time in some OEM HIDs that'll look a lot better, or the VX tuning HIDs, which look spectacular. I don't know if you've seen those. Maybe I'll post a picture here. But they've got one projector headlight right here in the middle, and then the stock looking fog and turn signals over here. And they look great. If I were keeping a Mk4 Jetta for myself, I would do those for sure. But anyway, these will do just fine in the meantime. So I will probably be putting these on my daughter's Jetta, since it's driven the least currently, and I'll film the process of swapping these over, which shouldn't be very much. I think there's just a few clips, and boom, they're on there. While I'm in there, I might paint and darken this chrome section around there, and maybe a little chrome around the lens things themselves. But the other thing I have to do is figure out what sort of lights go in it, because these came without light bulbs in the mains and the high beam. So I'll have to figure that out and go from there. I don't think it'll be too hard. I've got a few different light bulbs kicking around that I can try and just see what might be. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and film that. I'm not going to include that in today's video, but I'll have that for you next week, or maybe later this week. Maybe we'll do a 2-video week. I don't know. It's one of those weird weeks. So anyway, all that to say that I've got a little bit of stuff I can do today while I'm still waiting for the software for my precious supercharger so I can put this on the VR6 Corrado and make it go vroom vroom even more. So yeah, that's coming. The lenses are super cracked in addition to being yellowed. So rather than even try to do the solution where we resurface these and recondition them, I got a set of these $30 lens replacements on Amazon. We're just gonna pop them off and change them, but we're also gonna do some cosmetic upgrades. I'm gonna take some of this chrome in here and blacken it because everything looks good black. And we will then throw the lenses on there, and then we'll move forward to actually throwing them on the Jetta to improve the nighttime illumination so we can actually see out here, because the American headlights are lacking. Now, if you have a Mark IV and you still have the stock headlights, you are well acquainted with the fact that they're terrible, and they cloud over because the protective coating from the factory on the polycarbonate lenses has long since worn off, and they get cloudy and yellow like most polycarbonate lenses do. And while you can do a restoration on them, and I have done that before several times with simple stuff like toothpaste and then clear coating them, and that should last for a while. And I'm going to qualify a while. If you are in the Southern California area or anywhere where there's a lot of sun, Arizona, anywhere in the Southwest, you know that the sun beats down and kills most clear coat pretty quickly, especially aftermarket clear coat. Like, I've even tried the 2K stuff, which is really special. It's got a hardener in it, and it lasts maybe a year on headlights. And just because, you know, you're driving and there's abrasive stuff hitting it because wind and rain and sun and all that. So anyway, so tonight what I'm going to do is film the actual headlight output on the road of my son's Mark IV Jetta. And we'll just see, you know, hey, this is the actual headlight output we've got to work with. And then we'll do a comparison after I replace it. Now, in my son's Jetta, we're going to be putting some aftermarket E-code open reflector type headlights. So they look like the factory ones in the US. They're not projector beam. They're open freeform reflectors, but they're E-code. So they should have a nice tight beam pattern instead of this vague blob of light that the American DOT spec ones have. That's the theory. I don't know if it actually will or not because I haven't installed them yet, and we're just gonna see. The other headlights we got, they're a junkyard rescue, so they were like $10. Normally, I'm not a big fan of the really cheapo projector beams that have the halo rings on them, but they were $10. And for what it's worth, the projector beams, any projector beam headlight is going to have better output than the factory North American DOT spec lights. So let's go get on the road and see how bad these headlights actually are, these naturally aspirated, these North American DOT spec factory 20-year-old lights. All right, let's see. All right, here is just an unlit road out in East County where I live, and you can see just the beams don't go far. So you can see a car coming up in the distance, but if I turn on the high beams, it's just more unfocused blob of light. You know, look to the side of the road, and it's just not very much. And one of them looks like it's actually like shining down on the road about 20 feet in front of the car, versus actually shining where it needs to go. So it's pretty bad. So we're going to use this as our comparison to the replacement lights when we go get them. We'll do a side by side. Yes, they are lacking. We'll just say that. And while Allah will agree, I'm going to have some folks say, oh, those projector beams are so ghetto fabulous. Why don't you get the VX tuning projector beams? Because they look amazing. And I will agree with you. They do look amazing. But again, $10. So, you know, for a total investment of less than 40, well, I gotta get some bulbs in here as well because it didn't come with bulbs. So I'm gonna have to dig out some bulbs, maybe get some LEDs in here, but still, for a very low cost investment, we're gonna have a nice crisp beam pattern that will actually light up the road and do what it's supposed to do, which the factory headlights should have done in the first place, but thanks to the DOT and their ridiculous outdated headlight specs, we get these unsightly blobs of light that are useless at night, and then of course the lens turns yellow and they're even more useless. They have these little clips on the back right here, and they just take a screwdriver and make sure they don't fly like crazy, because they will, but just wedge them off, and there, the clip pops off, and that's it. There's just a few of those, and just hang on to them because we'll reuse them, and that should be it for removing the lens. Well, we've said it before, the wand chooses the wizard, and with a swish and a flick, blah-da! Like magic, the lenses are off. Well, actually not like magic. There's so much RTV silicone on these things that I had to resort to the old tried and true method of baking them in an oven in order to release the RTV and free them. So if you're not familiar with that trick, it doesn't take very long. 200 degrees Fahrenheit in an oven for 7 minutes. That's it. That's all it takes to release the silicone and get the old lenses off. And this, by the way, is just a metric ton of sealant, which is completely unnecessary. But there you go. That someone used a lot of it. And now we're gonna test fit the replacement. These lenses are so bad. These are the old lenses. I mean, they're just cracked and so yellow and gross. The new ones are considerably better. So I've got the protective wrap on them so I don't screw them up while I'm installing them, but it should just go on pretty nicely and it'll look way better. But before I even do that, I am gonna blacken out this stuff here on the trim. So it's dirty. I'm gonna clean it a little bit, just a simple wipe down, and then mask off the lenses that I actually want to keep, and then we'll spray all this. So unless I can disassemble it and remove this whole fitting, that might be possible, but we'll see. Oh, I discovered another surprise in here. This explains why there's so much RTV silicone on these things. These have been opened previously. I discovered somebody put like a little LED strip right along the bottom here, which I guess would make kind of a neat little shiny feature underneath the lens down here. However, I also noticed that these aftermarket lenses that I got have these convenient little tabs here, which are preventing me from fitting them. So I'm gonna have to take a Dremel and trim those off first, and then I will investigate the wiring on here and see if that works. So this is definitely overkill for what I want to do here, but since my Dremel tool seems to have, at least the rotary flex attachment seems to have died, I'm gonna end up using this to cut off these little nubs that are interfering. So the headlight lenses are all masked up now, at least the parts I don't want to paint, and all this chrome stuff is gonna go away. We're gonna put some black paint on it, let it dry, and then I'm gonna try to come up with a solution for all of this nasty silicone stuff, I really don't want to have to go through and use a screwdriver, as it has been suggested in many online forums, and just take the time and work all of this stuff out, because this is nasty. There's got to be a better way. So I'm going to do some research, see what I come up with. I mean, if that ends up being what I have to do, it's what I have to do, but man, this stuff is nasty. Finding myself not liking whoever did this to these poor lights. All right, so we've given it a layer of black paint, and we'll just see how it turns out. Let it dry, see if there are any spots that need to go over again, but I don't expect really much. And again, these are $10 headlights, so I'm not too worried about it. And some folks have been asking, why bother putting time and effort into $10 headlights? Well, it's for my daughter. It's for my daughter's car, and my daughter is worth the effort to make these things look just a little bit better than they did. So we'll check back in a little bit and see how they turned out. Okay, update on the headlight upgrade, repair, whatever we're doing here. So I've painted, and this is the result so far. Got rid of a lot of the chrome, and we're just about ready to put the new bezels on. Of course, we run into the challenge that there's so much RTV silicone that the previous user of these lenses put in there that I've got to do something with it. It's just really bad. So, yeah, not sure exactly how I'm going to deal with that. I could take the heat gun and heat it up and scrape it out bit by bit, but that sounds exhausting. I'm frankly more tempted to take some sort of a Dremel bit and burn it out with that. I don't know. I'll get back to you. We'll see what we end up doing with this, but so far it's coming along pretty nicely. And I guess the third option is to just add to the nasty RTV and just add more and put so much of it on that it just seals it in, even though there's going to be a gap. So that would be the probably less desirable option, but it is an option nonetheless. We'll see.
But wait, there's more.
Just coming back in with an update on these, well, these headlights I've been working on. So I've got them all painted. I figured out which headlight bulbs go in them, which is cool. And I've been dealing with these layers and layers of RTV silicone. So what I did is I got a hook blade for this tool, and that's been doing fairly decent at digging it out. And then of course just kind of the old tried and true, use a screwdriver. Of course I scratched the heck out of the new paint, so I'm gonna have to sand that and repaint it after all that. Of course that might get covered by the frosted part of the lens, so maybe if it doesn't show up I'm not going to worry about it. But so that is all work in progress. And so after busily removing all of the silicone from around here in this channel, we are now going to add more, because it's really the only way to get this to seal and keep it weatherproofed. So I'm going to put in a light bead of silicone. Okay, so we're wrapping up the Mk4 Jetta projector cheapo headlight restoration, repair, project, whatever. This is the ball of RTV silicone. This is all the stuff that I scraped off of the old sealing channels on the lenses. This is how much was on the lenses. So these nasty lenses that were like, they're cracked, and I mean, yeah, the lights are trying to shine through that. So that was what we were working with. This is all the silicone stuff that was left in there that I was able to scrape out. So it's like a kryptonite here. Anyway, they're done, and we've got them all sealed up. Are they, you know, OEM quality like HIDs? No, they were $20, and the lenses were like $30. So these are cheap lenses, not gonna make any bones about it. But are they gonna be way better than what was in the car with the factory DOT spec headlights and this nastiness? Yeah, I'm anticipating they're gonna be way better. So we filmed a little shot of what the factory headlight output looked like on the road, and we're gonna do a side-by-side with these when we install them in just a little while. But I'm very happy with how these have turned out. They look way better. They're not quite as ghetto fabulous as they were when I got them and everything was chrome. So anyway, thank you to my brother-in-law, Daniel, for finding these at the junkyard for me, and we'll see how they work, but they're going on the silver Jetta, and I'm anticipating that there's gonna be a way better driving experience with these. So let's see how they do once they're on the car. We're making some progress. We're just about to throw these wonderful projector beams that have been mildly de-ghettoed. Mildly. They're a little bit more presentable now, but they're way more presentable than these things that just don't even work, as we showed you earlier. So there are a lot of great videos showing you how to take off the front end of a Jetta. Of course, Volkswagen, in their wisdom, made it so that you have to take off the bumper in order to remove the headlights. You can't just pop them out. The whole bumper has to come off, which means, of course, we got to put the car up on jack stands, get underneath, undo a few things. So, I mean, roughly, if you haven't done it before, these little clips pop out, the grill pops out. This can kind of flip up and out of the way. Then there's some bolts in underneath here. There's a bolt under there, bolt under there. And then over here in the wheel well, there's a few more that we have to get rid of on either side. And then that releases the bumper cover. And then we can access all 4 of the bolts to be able to take these out and plug those in. So I'm not gonna bother filming all that because you can see that anywhere. But I'll come back in just a couple minutes when we're ready to throw those in.
20 minutes later.
We have the headlights installed, and my son is actually, he gave it very high praise. So yes, they are these aftermarket ones. They're super cheap, as I've mentioned multiple times, but you know what? That's not bad. That is not bad at all. So the real test will be tonight when we take it out on the road and see how effective these new headlights actually are on the road. But I'm gonna just say they're not OEM HID quality, but not bad for minimal expense involved. So we'll be back in a few and see how it works. Well, they say the proof is in the pudding, or in this case, it's in the headlight output. So let's go see what the results of our headlight upgrade has been. All right, so they're aimed a bit better now. One of them doesn't want to adjust very high at all, but the driver's side was able to get pretty level, so I'm happy with that. And the high beams are quite bright. Let's take it on the road and see what it looks like down there, because we live on a pretty desolate, dark road. This will be a fairly good test. All right, here we are. Nice, dark, desolate road. And it looks like, yeah, one of them is still just pointing pretty far down. I'm not really happy with that. It's brighter than they were before. And I'm gonna need to wait just a second for the oncoming traffic. Let's check the high beams. Okay, these high beams are crazy bright. That's just ridiculous compared to what they were before. So that on a country road definitely works really well. I suspect that with the other one, if I rotate the LED bulb in there, it'll probably give me a better beam pattern. So I'll spend some time experimenting with that. But overall, yeah, it's more light on the road. Definitely needs to be aimed better. So we'll deal with that. Not that this was a major feature that I was looking forward to of these things, but the little halo rings, you know, that's for driving lights, or well, not driving lights, city lights, whatever. They're all right looking. So this is just the city lights on. If I flick on the headlights, then we got some very good headlight action happening there. And then of course the high beams. Reach those. Yep, definitely good. High beams. And I have not hooked up the fog lights yet. I do have a fog light wiring kit. This car did not come with fog lights, so I have to run the wiring. I did put in the relays. I ran it into the pigtail harness on the back of the headlights. I have to run it through the dash and to the switch and connect that. And then we'll have functional fog lights, and that might be a significant thing as well. So check back that on another time. But for now, I'm gonna call it mischief managed. We'll do some more adjusting on the aim, and I'll report back. But for now, let's go with this. It's much better than it was. So thanks for tuning in. All right, not too bad. Bye. You can shoot me a direct message. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. You know, you can hunt down my email off of my church website. I am a pastor at Quest Church San Diego. That's questsd.com, and you can find me there. So anyway, we'll see you again soon. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope that you had fun watching this video. See you soon. Bye-bye.